position, city attorney list of action, city council agenda, chapter 23 updates, city system upgrades, and the sale of distribution of city property. Give me 1 second.
Ready to establish?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have your audio turned on?
Stop. I haven't touched.
Oh, right there.
Okay. Echo.
I didn't need to be on Zoom. I have nothing to share. So those are the media priority items based on the feedback from council. Currently, the city attorney is listed every other, or the second meeting of every month. I continue to work through the system upgrades. Carmen has had the privilege of going to Marfa to look at Tyler Technologies, and how the utility billing system works with that type of software. We have gotten probably a dozen or more vendors interested, so we've been pulling up their site information, looking at their online demos, what they have available, what they don't have available, and the ability to grow so that we have one system for all departments and not piecemeal all different systems, if that's even a possibility. Short-term rentals, obviously, we've been working on that one. It's we had a workshop on it. We'll discuss it some more. A new ordinance. Sale and distribution of city's property. I do have that information sent back out to council to determine the next steps and directions we want to go. I highly recommend that be passed by ordinance, so that it is set in place and is followed every year moving forward. The low priority items, these are the ones that I have not focused on the past past month. Texas disposal systems contract, city charter revisions, the golf course, ordinance review process and prioritization, annexation map, zoning map, annual policy and resolutions, board map, and city redistricting requirements, economic development plan, long-term traffic and outline, potential for quiet zone, board and commission priority, zoning updates. I haven't focused a lot of my time on these, but I do have a little bit of updates for each of them. Currently I'm working with Texas Disposal. Communication has increased and improved. They're auditing their accounts again, as well as you're auditing ours. We have a list of possible things that we'd like to change within the contract that would benefit both sides. The golf course is scheduled to, or the Alpine Country Club is scheduled to be meeting before council at the next meeting in regards to the current status with the golf course. We did send out a formal letter requesting that they provide feedback and information on the current status of the golf course and some of the issues that we've had. We do have an updated annexation map that will go before council. Our zoning map is still hit and miss. We're looking at that one area of town where we have some concern. Geo has thrown out a bunch of thought processes on how to make sure we improve and pass things correctly. We've done it by both ordinance and resolution. Ordinance, that's how our current ordinances are written. Annual policy and resolutions. This is ongoing. We've created a master spreadsheet outside of Geo's permanent records that kind of gives me a time frame of when everything comes up. So it's not like, oh, what's that do? We have more structure for that. Of course, the board map ties back with annexation. Economic development has been an ongoing process with the Alpine Downtown Business Alliance Association. I've joined that group to look at that for the city. Long-term traffic, we've had brief discussions. I know with the railroad bridge that did additional questions. Quiet zone has not been on the table for some time. Board and commission priorities. You guys have been working through those with your current board. And of course, we've had lots of zoning updates and changes and looking at those boards. Lots of ordinances need to be updated and reviewed. Let's start with one. Those were on that list. I can add the ones. And that's just what was presented before council, just a rundown of everything, where we're at. There are still a lot of projects in the operation. Our time. Questions?
Just want to note, we've had a lot of workshops this year. Council is very busy trying to make sure we get through everything we need to do. A lot to catch up on. All right, so moving on to city staff update 9, public hearings. City secretary, it's 5:44. Public hearing to obtain citizen views and comments regarding the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-03-01, ordinance amending chapter 70. Offenses and miscellaneous provisions, Article 2, minors to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, repealing Division 2 curfew, repealing the juvenile curfew within the city limits of Alpine to better align with state law, providing findings of fact, repealers, severability, effective date, proper notice, and hearing clauses. Is there anyone here to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public hearings at 5:44. Secretary. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. City Secretary.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda contains 6 items. Item 1, approval of March 5th, 2024 meeting minutes. Item 2, approval of March 6th, 2024 workshop meeting minutes. Item 3, approval of the excused absence of Councilor Rodriguez from February 20th, 2024 city council illness. Item 4, approval of the excused absence of Councilor Stokes from March 5th, 2024 city council meeting to attend illness. Item 5, approval of the appointment of Joanna Laxton, case 5, parks and historic positions on and item 6, approve payment of the February 2024 monthly billing summary for the work is law firm.
I need a motion.
Secretary.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as written, please raise your right hand. Okay, City Secretary, passes unanimous. Okay, moving on to information and discussion items. City Manager, item number 1 is yours.
The first item is an update from the Alpine Public Library Executive Director, Don Whitterar, and he is here to give you an update of all the awesomeness. I've always wanted to use that word.
Good evening, I'm Don Weatherall, I'm Executive Director of the Alpine Public Library. First, I'm happy to report that the library received the Achievement of Texas Library Excellence Award from the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association. In order to receive the award, the library had to meet standards of excellence in different categories that included education programs, literacy support, workforce development. Of 545 public libraries in the state, we were one of them with that. The library received a grant from Texas Rural Communities, and that money is going to be used to support life skills programming for adults in the community. The program will include classes in health and wellness, legal information. We'll have art, small business, financial, and digital literacy. For example, our first session was presented by Alpine Bob Steele, and he gave a presentation on estate planning, the different kinds of documents that you are aware of, like HIPAA, wills, power of attorney, that a lot of people come with a lot of questions. And so he offered to do another presentation. That's going to be Saturday, the 23rd, and 10:30. Good job. Yoga classes also part of our skills program. We're going to be meeting at the library again on the first Wednesday of the month. And we're planning programs the first day of March. Our children's library has been busy at the library with outreach and AISD students. Our reading program that I talked about before, with Tiger Rising, was received well. And I think this fall and beginning of this year, she spent more time in classrooms. Our first kids program for the year was the annual teddy bear sleepover. Kids brought their teddy bears over, let them to sleep on Friday afternoon, Friday came back Saturday morning, pick them up, have a story. Then we had a family cooking night that included activities like explosion, look at potential in kinetic energy, chain reactions, whirlwind tubes, wind tunnels, and balloon blades. Have a family mathematics night coming up in April. The last Tuesday in April and the first Tuesday in May, we'll have a craft session for kids to come to another day. The first session is for ages 4 to 9, the second is 10. Our adult education program continues. At present, we have 60 students and instructors. Classes include English language learners, Spanish, and GED, and citizenship. We had our first graduation last October. We had a break gathering with about 30 friends and family graduate our two graduates. Since then, we've had 3 more complete the testing and 1 more is close. We're planning another graduation in May. Testing Center has administered 31 tests since it started last fall. And 12 since the beginning of the year, most of those were high school equivalents. Also administered tests for Microsoft certification, something AMP, Texas real estate, and SA. So it's good to know. We've been talking before stop division since the students have two difference. Silent auction during Art Walk, that's our biggest fundraiser of the year, brought in about $23,000. Our first fundraiser this year was fish fry, graciously put on, hosted by Alvin. We brought in $5,109. We are fortunate to have such great community supporters. We've been out of Peter is planning a talent show for the library. It's scheduled for April 13th. Participate, contact the Denali. Then on April 20th, we'll have. Finally, we have noticed that our expansion project is going to be with a few weather delays. We're still hoping for completion in July. It's difficult to get those root trusses. Plywood's been delivered, the metal for the roof should be in soon. We get closed up, and then it'll be time for electrical. The last thing I want to tell you is, I want to point out, the library expansion project is $1 million investment. Libraries make our. Other thing I want to point out is all the money that's going into the project is given by library patrons, library supporters, and a number of private foundations. No tax dollars. All those brothers. That's what I wanted to tell you today. Thanks for the support of the library. We're hoping
What Don didn't mention is the awning that is where the new building project is located. The library donated to the city, and we're utilizing it at our dog park.
Yes.
So, and one of the contractors working on that project is also donating their time to help. Double.
Right, yes. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate all you do with the library. It is a great community resource. Any questions? Thank you. All right, next discussion item belongs to Councilmember Nance.
Put that one on here that is continue discussing your party. Not what we would do or discuss health and science. And we have those 2 permits or the 3 out there that are held up because of our.
Well, we have 3, and then additionally, we had 3 that expired. And those operators, looking back at parking, they actually won't qualify as current parking. They're yours. So this conversation, give us an insight on that. Their permits expired, now they have to reapply, they're not qualified.
Please note that on that thing, this should be possible if we resolve it later, just so that the SDRs can actually get out there. If you're going to start pointing the line off compliance and non-compliance, I think you don't need should move on that. And look into the section 9133, it actually was guidelines for its homes. So what we kind of decided, one parking space per 60 unit plus one space per 5 square feet home area. The C guideline is guideline for that home. So I don't think it's a requirement, but that guideline is something that is pretty important. And a couple other things I was gonna mention is Megan provided us a lot of literature to read on board on short-term rentals, other ordinances and everything else from Fredericksburg, Marfa, San Antonio. We had large cities, small cities. Our parking compliance is the most restricted, even over Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg, I believe, is one per bedroom, and ours is one per bedroom plus one per 500 square feet of common. And look at doing a little research, Fredericksburg, 25 stuff. It is 1,900 units in Fredericksburg alone. We have 7. So I think it's comparing us to Fredericksburg really, really doesn't make sense. We actually look at that and just kind of lay it on there too. Marfa does not have a parking requirement. San Antonio was one per unit. So to come back in one more time, I had to put this difference between a sleeping unit and dwelling unit. The dwelling unit is, and I think that was in our literature read as well. A sleeping unit does not have a kitchen and essentials. So things like a hotel room, the bathroom is not a kitchen you can do. But actually, dwelling unit is place where you can all the folks life. All so, anyways, I think my personal opinion is that I would really like to just line those parking requirements up matched to what our current building is. And that would be R1s, one off-street minimal, and R2, R3, R4s, one off-street minimal per unit. So if you had, 2 units, maybe flex, would require 2 parking spots for regular home. If that is affected by newer homes, every new home after 2010 is going to have a driveway probably. You're dealing with a home. I just want to kind of place that as a discussion. And if we can reach some kind of consent, majority opinion from council, that way, maybe we can start to write the ordinance or maybe we don't even have to do this consent guideline. We can start the SCR through the process too.
Steps. On that. Several phone calls. Obviously, people listen. And, I usually get them, everybody's getting short-term rental. That's what I was getting this time, like I want rather live by short-term rental. They do meet guidelines, they do, keep their yards and make it look attractive. You want to know, we could get rid of 2 of his neighbors, just live there, because they're so hard. Another one was, and he's not a short, he does not a short. Another one was a owner. So you need to really remember what Daryl's saying. We're not getting calls on Derek. I wasn't here, so I'm just quoting what they told me. Daryl said, he's not getting called with thousands of cars on the street, so. Those are just I got, if we're already meeting some kind of a guideline, I don't see any reason to rock the boat. This one guy said that one we were concerned about over by the Dollar Building Church going on one of our alleys to get to. So, are we gonna make them not go in an alley? I mean, how restrictive are we gonna be on it? My thoughts.
Councilmember Rodriguez? I do agree that we need to have some kind of resolution on this. And we need to be sure that it is enforced. But I don't feel that we need to rush into it just because of people. I feel like that's what we do sometimes, and I think we need to really just take a look at it. Daryl may not be getting any complaints, but I know Rick for one is getting quite a few. I think that we need to work with STR individuals, but we also need to understand that their neighbors need to be heard too. So I think that both of it needs to be taken into account. As far as, some of our newer homes, yes, they do have more fun. We need to remember that a lot of our older homes were built a lot closer than they are now. So we have some homes that are right next to each other. And I think that those neighbors need to be taken.
Councilmember Sandate?
Yeah, I think we need to go down the parking. Like,
You agree with Aaron?
yeah. The house are too close and they have parking.
Councilmember Stevens?
So I'm happy to reduce the parking, however, I believe it needs to be one per sleeping. Well, that's one. Second, and that's to me is a reasonable compromise. Second thing is the unit over by the dollar store, that is not a parking lot, it's grass. And so, in my
No, I
view,
agree.
defining, and I'm not in favor of people parking on lawns, I just don't think that's the right thing to do. My view is if they made it a parking space, okay, that solves the issue. Right now, they need parking. The other we did talk about at the short-term rental workshop was the discussion about fees. In my view, there are a number of people who are probably using short-term rentals. They're underneath the radar. My view is we ought to abolish the fees. I think that will bring people forward to get the short-term rentals registered, get the inspection, because we get more money from the taxes associated with the hot than we're ever gonna get. My view is go to parking space per sleeping unit, reduce the fees to zero or significantly reduce it, and then make sure people are not using the front lawns as a parking spot, so I don't think they'll find one.
So you're saying to get rid of the fines altogether?
Not the fine, no. Get rid of the annual fee. The annual fee is $350. Okay, and what we heard at the workshop, a lot of people raised, and I thought in their comments, on the cost that it takes to maintain a short-term rental, they're paying a fee. And in my view, the value the city gets out of somebody having a short-term rental, we get the additional hotel occupancy tax fee. We reduce the burden on those who actually have a short-term rental. And that increases the opportunity to bring more people in, and we're gonna get more people registered. I'm convinced there's a lot of people out there, they're not lined up for short-term rentals, yet they're doing it anyway. And I hear about it, and so if you eliminate the fee, that's a burden to say, okay, here's what we're gonna do, because I know what it takes to do a short-term rental, you gotta make an investment in it. And so trying to help people out to run a business so they can make economic funds for it. So those are my two items.
Is there any cost to the city after the initial application that the city puts out for as far as their inspections or anything else?
So yes, part of the permit process is the inspection. It has to be inspected, so it's employee time. Right now, we're contracting with someone, so it's his time at $100 an inspection. And then if they're not compliant, it's going through the whole process to cite them, take them to court.
So processing these permits, they come, to the permit department and then, to you all, there's, the staff time and whatnot, as far as there's letters sent, to the property as well. And then on the renewals, it's a lot less, but it's $100 every year for the renewal fee, and that literally covers the cost of inspection for our contract inspector. But for the non-compliant ones, there's a lot that goes into that as well. Usually I do the audits, and when I find them, I send it to code, I'll send them a letter. I'll send it certified. If I don't hear back from them within 30 days, then I send it to code enforcement. Code enforcement starts the citation process. Then they submit it to the court and it's dealt with. There's just a lot that goes.
My question is why inspect? If you're renting out a property, people are gonna say, it's good or not good, they're gonna give you the ratings, how you do on DRBO, and Airbnb, so they're not gonna show up. I think it's, the first city, in my view, prison. Yeah.
Well, if there's no renewal, fee. So that's not, I think.
Okay, so I want to mention that Geo and his staff regularly checks for STRs that apply to the radar. Is that correct?
Yes.
That you go to the websites and that y'all, there is a system to catch those that are not coming forward and saying they're STRs. Another thing that,
What's the data tell us?
Right now, 3 to 5.
So we know there's at least three that are not compliant. So all you're saying is that's all there is.
That's all that I'm able to find. That's pretty good. I do, random audits, random.
Okay.
Okay, and the other point that I wanted to make, oh, Heather and Chris are also doing that, is that we're hearing from a lot of the short-term rental owners that the market is saturated. If we completely get rid of the fees, that's not gonna assist that problem. The market's gonna be even more saturated, we're gonna have a lot that aren't being rented out and they're not contributing to hot taxes. I personally feel that we at least need to charge what it costs the city. Whether we have a renewal fee or not, I don't know, that needs further discussion, but a fee up front, yes. And if we don't have the renewal fee, then maybe we can get rid of the inspections, if the city isn't gonna be liable. And that might be something for our attorney, for Alessandra, to weigh in on, if something were to happen and a home wasn't in compliance, is there any liability on the side of the city? As far as parking spaces, I agree with Councilmember Stevens that there should be at least one.
One thing on that, I think that's on our video, but the, like Councilman Reese said, the closeness of the home. But I haven't had any people from my board have any complaints about parking in that area. And I would think ones that we're hearing complaints about are in driveway areas. So I haven't heard from some of the south side areas and stuff where the homes are older and closer together. And especially if you've had any issues with parking and all that kind of stuff, you would think if there was parking issues, it would be in those areas where there is a lack of space within density. I think density is a good thing. And when we come back in on the permit fee, I was going to say one thing, and we heard an STR owner say that, it's a tight market, they're not making profit. It's just, they're having issues kind of making profit and everything else. I think that the part of that equation that's not getting spoken about is the equity of the home, like the appreciated value of that home. If you have that home, you're not counting it in your books. The property goes up to say 175 to 200,000. That is $25,000 in the equity and value of your home. It's not counted within your P&L.
Okay, the value, is that not in your?
Value is
Is it-
the part.
Yeah, I think it should, correct.
That was one thing I would say, coming back on the parking side issues is current ordinance says guidelines. So if we are gonna draw this out and, the permitting process and decide what we as a council want, I can probably tell you that Mr. Stevens and I are probably never gonna agree on this issue, and that's just the nature of the beast. That's good, that's the person of the council. So this could be a 3-2 vote one way or the other. But I think it's important to, the ordinance does say guidelines to go ahead and move these permits forward so that they can start operations. Our current ordinance says guidelines, maybe that opens them up to, personal interpretation.
Okay, Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember Stevens. Okay. Councilmember Stevens.
Guidelines are what we're called. When we ask the 75 short-term rental operators what they see about whether or not that charging a fee or not, it's not what survey asked them to say. Like having a fee, good or bad, because we're talking about it, how many of us are short-term rentals? Three of us, not one. So one will go get data from 75. And I think that out in performance.
Let's say Brett back on that. Sorry, if they have no idea of our concept, right?
That's true.
I get it, I'm just saying, hopefully it will be in single digits. The argument's been made, increase the number of units. I don't know whether that's true.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
In any other time, I think that would be a wonderful idea, but how many of them are going to act and say that they want guidelines for it? Because none of us like to. I think that's just too much. As far as the inspections, it's not just a matter of private done, but by doing construction inspections, why does the house inspector go out, make sure that our food trucks are safe and all that? It's not a matter of the city has liability, it's just keeping things written. I don't think it should be done just because we don't like it. We don't do other resolutions for anything. It's for you.
All the others have codes. All the others have codes. See, state law. I would, if anyone could show me short-term rental center. We had it, I'd say, great.
Okay, Councilmember Duncan?
We talk about inspection, city inspection of the house.
Fire
Fire
extinguisher,
extinguisher.
smoke detectors from outside.
What's up to go? Keep it up, big like.
Councilmember Nance?
Say, coming back to the inspections on that, I did look into that a little bit. Part of it is things, I don't think that's fire safety. You can have a bunk bed by a window blocking your fire safety. Yes, that is the owner's fault, but if you could stop that from occurring by doing a, annual inspection, so be it.
Nobody comes to my house, tells me, right?
But that's just your life, that's in the line. of insurance.
It does have insurance on it. They require it as an SPR to carry.
So our ordinance outlines what we're asking. If they don't have insurance, we have homeowners that don't have insurance. The idea of the ordinance was to help regulate the health and safety of visitors. Make sure that we don't violate any of the
You
regulations.
inspect all the hotels and motels, girls.
So they are all inspected, have their initial bill, make sure that they meet all of the fire requirements. And then their insurance requires that they be,
The homeowner's insurance, do an SPR.
depends on your insurance. I can't speak on behalf.
I agree with Rick, none of us have them. We're up for making decisions. I don't know.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
There aren't guidelines for the beach. This was pushed on. Guidance do not exist because cities have had to take. They did code the handbook. Guidance. They could just need to define. That's just it. Fire safety. Like that. I know that they have omissions. You know, I manage our conference. We can give us inspections. Yes, it's college. College should be the safety regulations, yes. But somewhere, somebody needs to ensure it's. Just so for the cracks, just like that's what happens. There's mass, there's fire. I agree with you. Each.
Councilmember Nance, I'm gonna circle back to you because I see the wording on your discussion item. Were you wanting to focus just on the parking issue and this discussion? I would like to see if we can come to a resolution of that.
But I would really like to make a motion after discussions to allow short-term rentals to pursue permits. Because we do have that language with guidelines, so that we're not holding people up to get people in compliance. Even if it is a relaxed code or a guideline, to get them in compliance as far as the permit. Once we have that in there, and everyone is done, then we can start working on what compliance means. As far as like, once everyone is in compliance, we bless them all, then we come back and say, now, if you're fall out of compliance, this is the structure that would actually, as far as fines, basic fines, or anything else. I'd like to get everybody move through the process and kind of get this going, but ultimately, we can get the rules of the game or regulations and everything outlined. So that they know what the fine structure is.
So you're looking at specifically the three permits that are being held. That's what you're going to do.
Anyone that would be held up for parks, you could reach agreement. You are going through the permitting process and being held up for the park regulation should.
Okay, so we should be focusing this discussion on parking. The rest will come later. Okay, Councilmember Rodriguez, should we read both? Would we be comfortable doing that?
So the problem is that they're operating. Within the They do not have a permit, but they are operating.
Wasn't it free?
They have rules for citing, not taking it to the courts.
So we're voting on that, so now the rest of the vote, that we go back and vote again.
I would ask that we decided that we should cite them based on the belief that the regulations that were required by. them. If you did not get a permit because you did not have 4 bedrooms in the house.
Or apartments, in the house.
So now that we come back and look at this, the language of guidelines, I don't think we get a fair shot as far as pulling these permits out. Now that it's where it says the guidelines are this, and that, if we can legitimately say this is not required, you're not required to have 3 parking or 1 person unit or anything else like that. I feel like that's on us. We hold up the permit side of things, because we didn't properly translate on.
I do want to point out that there cannot be a motion or a vote.
Right, it's discussion. We realize that, yeah.
So the previous was a general, wasn't an actual motion. Since it's that moving forward, if they're not compliant, they go to the. Doesn't matter. So we've been literally issuing citations for these non-compliant STRs. If you want to put this as an action item, please remember, you still have to provide all the proper notifications.
Is what we have to occur for these permits that are held up, our translation, of what parking requirement is, what would be the first step in giving us?
So, Gio can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have to notify, we have to have the notification sent out to the surrounding residents. It would be a public hearing, then we've been presenting the message. We could put that.
And if they plan those came to council, then we would once again say, we need to report them, that's when we would look at the fire as far as how we translate that.
April 2nd is the next meeting.
If we got them out in the next 3 days. Which I can do, don't want that, get all of them on the agenda. But keep in mind, again, there's 3 that were postponed and 3 additional aren't meeting the guidelines, right? So I can get all of those on. So 6 total properties that are fine.
Okay.
Guidelines.
We're over by the church. People were just living in that house and parking on the street. Would anything happen to them? Would we want to know if they had a parking place?
They don't comply with that, see, but that house is built.
This is kind of goes back to Darren's argument with follow our current process with what we have in our ordinances for parking. Don't set up a specific one for STRs, follow what we have.
By zoning, right?
So R1 would be, 1 off street, and then R2, R3, R4, 1 off street per unit. Dwelling unit.
I mean, are we going all over town and looking at everybody's houses to see if I have enough parking spaces for my house?
I'm not.
See, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. But I don't own one, so I don't have a phone in that race, and we're up for making decisions. I agree with Rick, we ought to ask somebody that really has them and has an income coming off of them. We're deciding, their livelihood, a lot of them, that's all they do.
Rick, you were on council in 21 when this was initially put into place. Do you remember what the original purpose of the short-term rental ordinance? What the intent was?
As I recall, the intent was to really get people line up so short terms, like hot tax.
So if the intent is to just collect the hot tax, we don't have a hotel ordinance. I'm gonna shoot myself in the
You
foot.
mean as
here.
far as parking?
Period.
Okay.
You do not have a hotel, how you operate, how you function ordinance. If the only process is to ensure that they pay hot taxes,
then that is just a blurb in the taxation portion of the ordinances that requires them to pay, how they pay, when they pay, how they report, if they don't report, and the consequences there. That would remove all of your conversations in regards to permitting, to parking, to operations. But they would still have to be in compliance with all other city ordinances, just like anyone who owns a business or house.
But that would also remove the requirement that the neighbor notices, so the neighbors wouldn't have that, you know, that knowledge, that there's a short-term rental, strangers would be staying in.
That remove their requirement to be permitted.
Even when they complain that they don't want it next door, we still have to vote yes. I've never gotten that. Why do we have to vote? If we have no choice, why are we voting? Just my.
Because
The
we,
state of
we're using
Texas
it
is
as
I
a
know
special
that,
permit.
I know.
We're voting on the special permit, not the fact that whether it's gonna be yes or no. That was one of the ways that we were using to keep up with them, so they apply for a special permit, so that's actually what we're voting on. Not whether they can actually exist, but whether they apply.
Councilmember Stevens?
So, back when the STR ordinance was put together, there were lots of issues about noise. There were lots of issues about parking. There were lots of issues about, the STRs not registering the hotel occupancy tax. Those are the big drivers of public. And now the noise ordinance resolves that issue. That's happened. Parking is an item, you know, we can work our way through, but getting people registered to pay the hotel occupancy tax. My view is that's something they gotta comply with. My personal view, and I expressed this at the workshop, that when it comes to property ownership, we're trying to protect all property owners' rights. The owners of people who live in that house and the people who live in that, go. And in my view, so long as there's not a noise issue, no one's interfering with the other, I don't care if they run them out of the door. That's where my fundamental view has come from. So again, noise was an issue, making sure people were taken care of from a parking standpoint, so people don't get overrun. So there's one at the end of my street, at the end of my property, they'll have 12 cars there. They got 12 parking spaces. If they didn't, they'd be blocking the street. Okay? And so that's where I get concerned about parking. How do you help residents who don't have the ability to control someone who's an SDR who takes over the area? And therein lies the challenge. So if we're able to work that issue, my reaction is, if you register, pay your hotel occupancy tax, I really don't care. And I don't think most people will, because the noise issue is going to resolve. That's why.
I totally agree with that.
How we get to that point? You know,
I think that tells, you know, that kind of summarizes what all of us are saying, it's just trying to get there.
we know in the large communities, STRs have become a big issue because of the party houses. That's the problem we're running into. Okay? Noise, we got a noise ordinance, that takes care of the party house issue. It really does. And that's, so I mean, one proposal could be, I want the STR ordinance, make sure people are registered. We don't worry about the inspections because people don't expect it. It's going to be terrible. I was just looking at Airbnb online. They have their own checklist they want people to follow. They really do. Same with VRBO. Actually, that's an individual responsibility for my top office. And noise is a problem.
Councilmember Sandaki? Councilmember Nance?
It sounds like again, what if a hotel motel does not pay HOT? How's that enforced?
It's not. This has been an ongoing debate. We currently have 3 hotels who are multiple years behind. The state allows us to put a lien on. Different attorneys have not wanted to follow through that process. And it's a law. So that when it's brought up, we don't move forward with it. But there are currently 3 hotels in the city that are. We don't even get the sorry for your bad luck. I know for sure.
For,
Yes.
so there are, but I'm also want to tell this to that sitting out. I mean, I'm not ready to say all. I'm not personally not want to say all.
That too, like a commercial property, like a hotel motel is built to have, see people and have them stay overnight. We're gonna have a short-term rental, and you're going through that process, and then you say, well, haven't been paying your HOT, we're gonna put a lien on your property. If they say, well, actually, I'm no longer a short-term rental, this is my house. Does that change the legal structure? Because it's very different.
So the idea with the whole process is they're supposed to notify us when they're operating and when they're not. So we have a master spreadsheet, and I can tell you when we get money, when we don't get money. I can't tell you, well, they operated all of March, but none of April and May. So the idea is that they're supposed to notify us. It's all about communication. If we would just get the form that's saying, this month I took a vacation and I didn't, rent out my house, there's no revenue, they put 0, we have it documented. If they sell the house, they should still be notifying us in regards to, I'm no longer in operation. The state does have those outlines, especially for hotels and larger groups. It's communication. Here's the form. Are you operating? Are you not operating? There's another side of it too, because even though they're operating an STR and they're collecting taxes, if they're housing federal employees, you don't get that. So there is a lot more to it than just a lead. It's a communication and
I guess from my viewpoint is outline small, we definitely see. We're not driving litigation and legislation, short-term rental at all. Like the law that actually comes down from the state, by the large cities, and we'll fall in line. So for us to come in and say, to do something that no one else is doing scares me, because the law and everything else will move forward, and they say they'll explain it to us. And I guess if legislation has driven cities to create ordinances also for us to manage them, I think there's a reason behind it.
I think it's obvious that this is not something to solve. Today, workshop. Is there any way that this GMRs can be allowed to continue until that could be the same as just no restriction? But is there a way that they
they are not compliant, they decided they would.
they have to think the purpose there and wanted to see what we could do to allow them? Okay. I think we just. It's not gonna be something that's solved by. Right now, we're sitting here that are not.
You want us to put those 6 permits forward to you, Will, or just? let
I mean,
them-
there's nothing we can do about it. They cannot function if saying they can't.
Just because it's against the ordinance to not have to operate on. But if you approve a permit.
They'd be able to operate.
Well, we just cited.
Yeah. That's the guideline.
City manager, sure.
Well, based on y'all's conversation, the very first question I asked myself, why didn't that? Just based on all of y'all's kind of discussion back and forth. My only concern is, and this is why we wanted direction for the non-compliant, because we had been lenient to try to get people compliant, we just want them.
We told you.
And then you told, no, if you're not compliant, go after them. So last week I told you, it goes out, it goes out.
Keeps that. About baseballs. We were the same people that gave you that direction.
Now you're telling
And
us,
now it beats the line.
And we did drag our
Council-
feet. We really did drag our feet.
And as Councilmember Rodriguez said, 2 more meetings, we're gonna have 3 council members.
I must let that man. I'm gonna abstain.
I think that things. We don't have to figure everything out. You know, the permits are being held up because of our interpretation of guidelines. And how strict do we consider that word to be in the permitting process? If we think it's strict, then if you think guidelines that have some problem, then we made a good decision. If you think guidelines more relaxed term, it's just recommendation, and we should be forward.
Is it that question? Why? So what? This council.
I think it's the feedback you get from. Have those who apply to content, have those who apply if you want them. When we opened up the workshop, we had a handful of SDR operators who, this is what they want to do, this is their way they make money.
I think there was one potential STR operator there that workshop. Together.
Absolutely.
That's right.
But even as a phone call, we're told that we have to have a license. We're told to have a permit to add a storage room onto our land. And the guidelines and all that, I mean, we're there.
That would happen no matter.
That doesn't, you know, so I don't know if your guidelines is that much of an issue. Let's get to a point where, I guess I'm not, like I said, I'm not ready to just open it up. Say, oh, all the points. Sure.
I think it will be required. That's a good. So I think we prefer not to see wild west. I think if Mr. Stevens and previous council, they, something came up, they said it was perfect.
This is gonna be just like the others. I can tell you that Mr. Garcia are probably owners that take care of the STRs, keep up with their repairs, try to take their neighbors into account. And those are the ones that fortunately make the fire. Something to be able to help those members.
Out of 14 SDR ordinances.
Okay, so to conclude this discussion,
Would you like this added back on consideration?
I think this needs to be an April workshop. I know that everyone's calendar is filling up, but this is a big ordeal for those who are being cited in the application.
I think that maybe that you just said. Have these people, have them here to tell us, what it's like to be an STR. Tell us what it's like to have all.
Can you send out letters to all of these? Just a flyer that you say, we have an email.
The pending permit. For this statement. And it would be safe.
That we brought to a vote, so we did.
it's a discussion item, so it can't
I
tonight.
mean, my recommendation, yes, but I think I'm.
I think it, like Jesus, it's,
Yeah.
I can have all things.
Since an action item.
But they will still be on.
We directed you to that. This council sat here. This item.
But they're not compliant, not permanent. They're not non-compliant with the parking. The reason we held up the permitting process was because of our interpretation of parking.
Which has a result.
I would say,
So they're not compliant. Not compliant.
The where ordinance has been interpreted, they're non-compliant.
Well, I'm never gonna want them parking on grass. So mark that down in the book. They don't, I mean, they just don't need to.
you put that in the ordinance too. I mean, one offsite that has to be, yard.
Like a
Gravel or whatever.
basketball court, something, I mean, it needs to be something, they need to be up there. And if I went to an Airbnb and they expected me to pull on the grass, I wouldn't stay there, tell you right now. They would not be getting a good review from me.
Okay, so I need to get a feel. Does council want Gio to bring
I'm
this
gonna
back
abstain, Mom.
for the,
For the 6 permits that are pending approval.
and if so, when do we want this brought back? Do we want it brought back under the new council, or do we want it brought back for April 2nd? Is that the earliest?
That's the earliest we can get on the agenda for.
We need to give them direction.
The second meeting, next time we get together.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Okay,
Approval of the 6 permits. And it was,
I'll be in Seattle.
And I'll just comment, if we're gonna be parking on the grass, that's when I would say no. Okay, I could. I don't think we want people parking on lawns in the city of Alpine.
And I would say that, like, I am in agreement of that. I think guidelines is, I think we've gone too strict on it, but guidelines to me means too, it could be, no law. I would be for matching to the R1, R2, R3, 4, and putting in things like that where you can't just park on your yard and everything else, and have a designated, parking area for that.
So, and the reason I bring that up, because the word quote guidelines says this is what the guidelines are. That short-term rental owner would say, I would argue those are just guidelines. You're gonna approve everyone else, why not approve me? That will be something we're gonna have to contend with about.
so April 2nd.
I'll get the letter sent out.
Okay, so we've gone round and round. Let's move on to information discussion item number 3, Councilmember Stevens.
So, Avenue B, speeding issues, this is an area the chief and I have talked about a lot. The number of speeders that head down from Saul Ross down Avenue B, which is in Ward 5. And I get complaints regularly from one individual who raises the issue. I finally just said, hey, I'll buy and pay for a speed hump to put on the city streets to slow people down. What got to me the other day, because I spend a fair amount of time at Saul Ross trying to raise funds for them, I saw a guy go no slower than 55 miles an hour down Avenue B, faster than you can imagine. Hit the corner, made a right turn, and was gone. Daryl's not there, no one's there, and I really genuinely worry about what's going on, particularly when whoever it is head down the road. I will tell you, I've talked to leadership at Saul Ross. I've talked to Megan. We have to do a traffic study. We've done traffic studies before. We came to the conclusion there aren't enough people doing it. We do the traffic study, people slow down. The speed limit's 20 miles an hour. In my view, if we're either gonna kill someone, or we've gotta go work it. I'm working 2 angles. One, I'd like for the city to go do a traffic study. I will also tell you, I'm working directly with Saul Ross to get a speed hump put on their property. Because it's right where Avenue B runs into the Museum of the Big Bend. We put it right there with not being on city property, and they can do whatever they want. So that's the reason I'm bringing it up. I just, the number of people speeding down there is just awful. So, but Daryl does a study,
Darrell does a great job.
yeah, and we don't find many. So
I
there's
think
the problem.
that's the problem, not only just in Avenue B, I think Avenue G, Daryl, I think it's about the same. Is it, I mean, the thing is that, I don't know what the answer is.
in reference to, let me
Stand up, excuse me, sorry about that.
So, I had a meeting with my officers on Friday in reference to speeding in town. We do make a lot of traffic stops in Alpine, and we work a lot of, we issue a lot of citations. One of the things, since your email, I've been working at Avenue B, and I pulled over a girl, college kid, it was during spring break. And I really, the only really ones that were here during spring break are the athletes. And I asked her if she was an athlete. She said she wasn't. She's a mother and college student, and she was running late to work. The one thing that I noticed, and I was parked over by Dr. Coggin's office, and was once she passed the little crosswalk, that's when she laid it down. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the traffic that I've watched coming down from Soros, it's after that. It's usually after that. It's going to be on our jurisdiction. So I don't know if your speed bump or your proposal is going to actually make an effect. I think as far as the crosswalk, we joke around, Megan and I. Sometimes the people that have the least complaints about speeders are the ones that have all these potholes in front of their property.
No one speeds down my street.
Right, and so, but we do have complaints all over town. I have one kid that goes in front of my house, and he knows when I'm home. And unfortunately, I can't run out of my underwear and pull him over. But I have told him plenty of times that I know when he's driving too fast. But we do have complaints all over town. Unfortunately, we just can't have all the officers working. Again, we joked around, having one officer 24/7, 365 on each of the one-ways, and then one on Avenue B and one on Vanega. That was
Part of the budget process.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
they'll start using them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
y'all do a wonderful job.
And so one of the things that if you notice in the school zones, the parents and the students that drop off over at the middle school and they have to get to the high school. They used to go down Fort Davis. Well, they know we're on Fort Davis, so they'll take Stockton. Actually, I sit up in
I
front
know.
of Judy's house and I pulled over a kid and, but they'll take
Well,
those
now
back.
they don't like the stops.
Yes.
So they'll scoot over.
Which is fine.
And I remember when Chief Scout was here, he goes, "Who's sitting up over on Sol Ross?" And this is when the administration building was being used for students, and so I was, it's not sitting up on Sol Ross. He goes, "Well, we're getting complaints that the cars know that you're there, so they'll take Del Rio Street." And so unfortunately, we can't
It's a
cover.
problem everywhere, every city.
Yeah.
It's just it's just.
I wish I had that answer.
So I get the diversity, but we can't be everywhere. And in my view, then there's got to be alternatives. That's why my I'd love to put on City Street. I'm going to buy the car. But I know you gotta do a traffic study. You've done traffic studies there. How many traffic studies have I done? 4. They all show the same thing.
Yeah, and we always use unmarked vehicles.
I know.
We use unmarked vehicles, we park away from it.
I just couldn't believe how fast this guy was going.
And I was thinking about that one that you were saying about, and I said that has to be a baseball player. I think going to Soros, and I do talk to the coaches, like the schools, when they go from the high school to the track fields after school, I know that they speed. And, some will catch, some. It's like they'll think, you're a big fish, yes. You always catch a big, no, I don't.
So the bottom line we're into is, we don't have a solution. I'm worried about something.
Yes.
And I hate to see something get hit and then decide what to do. I happen to believe, as I see in lots of large urban environments, neighborhoods, they put in speed humps. They slow the traffic down with no paper. I'm not talking about speed humps, just the boom. It's the speed humps, held by DOI, and they slow things down. In my view, we ought to do an experiment, see if they actually.
Well,
provide some humps.
If you remember, I initially had brought that up, that suburb outside of Boston. But
There's one in Conroe. Are those something called we lifted up?
Okay, what do they know? People know.
And then just make it
the thing that we were discussing though is that, if somebody's vehicle damaged, T-Mobile will cover this.
So there becomes a liability because it is required to remove obstructions. And so it's considered an obstruction. So if there was an accident, we could be liable for the damages cost, and we would not be able to file.
We put a pothole in.
Well, there's already one. Have you noticed? There's already one, there's already
That
one.
would be the trend. City of Alpine starts adding potholes.
So that's not really, if there's a pothole, it's used as considered obstruction. Okay, so instead of raising it.
You're gonna lower them.
Yes. Yeah, have Eddie start adding potholes.
And
to these.
you would have to change your current
Put all
ordinance to reflect.
I just. We get all of the acknowledgement we're seeing more and more speeders. We don't know if people violate the signs. We don't know if people violate signs.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily true that they see increased. I think it's always been there. It's just, you being on council, y'all are more aware of it.
We're hearing, yes, I hear about Antelope and hearing it all the time. Have you heard about that? Stop sign there.
Well,
Stop
traffic
sign.
is slowed down longer.
Yeah, stop sign, the stop sign in weird places is Phillips.
I remember when Mr. Yansky was on the city council and he was complaining about the Alpine Avalanche deliver, speaking, making deliveries in the morning. This is 20 years ago. So we issued that person's citation. We know exactly what it is, but
So if we send you pictures of speeders,
well,
No.
that is not unless your camera has the radar on it.
We have to be certified. Yes, it has to be certified, right, yeah. Speedometer or something.
I just think. It's part of the issue. We should see someone.
It's-
The outcome for us is, we're gonna be controlled by the lawyers. So we're gonna make a decision because the lawyers say more for us. I think that's-
I mean, that's crazy, you know, we be held liable for something like that too, or.
State highways a little.
That's on state.
No, we don't have jurisdiction. We have to
Yeah,
have-
you said the stop signs, people are calling me, well, I'm having to go around, I said, well, don't come in more than one. You might get 2, 3, 4, many others to go in, if you want to stop there, don't be there.
Do we know the distance from that crosswalk to the stop sign?
There's quite a few
That's about
stop signs, isn't there?
Crosswalk all the way down to Loop Road. Don't know what it is.
About 150.
So not worth another stop.
They're, I think they're going through the stop signs too, aren't they?
This particular one
Well,
hit the corner, didn't even slow down, went around the corner and then sped off.
you know, that's not a bad idea.
Oh, that's
Another stop
a
sign.
pretty,
Put a stop sign right there. At least for us, that would be easier for us to get that
catch
stop.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Stop sign at the
It
intersection.
would be Mountain View. Is that Mountain View?
Yeah, Mountain View. Okay, stop sign would be, that, we'll take that shot right with that.
I think that's step one. Let's see if it.
If it works, yeah.
And if it doesn't, not against the speed. Just to make sure we update our.
Like stop it by the Legion. To help over there.
The especially helps when we move up closer to that stop sign and so.
Not
It
me
has,
for the first
because
week.
the look of confusion on people is fun.
Oh, I get calls, I'm still getting calls. Why did you do that? I said, I didn't do anything. I need to talk to Daryl and Eddie.
Daryl's like, thanks.
Your
I
constituents,
don't care.
yes.
So,
So you want to stop sign?
we work the stop sign, that'd be super, at Mountain View and B.
Great idea,
They
Megan.
will at least hesitate. They
Great
may
idea.
still blow the stop
Yeah,
sign,
they may not-
but they will
Just try to
hesitate.
get them to slow down.
First they'll hesitate because they'll be looking for him or somebody. And then they're at another stop sign before they
Yeah,
know it.
and then you say, okay, fine.
Right. If you want to get hit on Loop Road, go right ahead, right? Go right ahead.
Daryl, quick
Yes, sir.
question. Can the, when you're driving into town and the thing that goes off if you're going over a certain speed, I think we're getting a couple more in, Grant coming up. What are those machines? So you're going 40.
The message boards, those are actual message boards.
Message boards?
We had the speed, and mine's so old, I'm trying to get it, working again. That's actually, it'll tell you the speed. That's all its job is to do.
It's supposed to warn people if they're going 45 and a 35.
Yes, sir.
Can those be in residential zones?
I'm sorry?
Can those be placed in residential zones?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. But like the one that, I have a smaller one that we received off of, our Click It or Ticket, grant that we had. And we were awarded so much money and then we told them that what we were using the money for, and that's how we got it. I would like to see us possibly get another one of those, but.
I was gonna say, because we mentioned as an item that a lot of people, we don't have standardized speed limits within the town. So I mean, even if you asked me, I might not know what the 25 and a 35 and everything else. So I mean, of course, it's not a 55. That guy definitely knows he's not, he's over.
It's posted as a 20.
Is it
Yeah.
20?
Well, it is posted
Yeah.
as a 20, no doubt about it.
And that was the other thing that we, I don't remember if it was you and I had the discussion in reference to the location of the speed limit sign, so.
I think the speed limit is the speed is gonna happen, whether we lower it, raise it, whatever, it's just
Yeah.
gonna happen.
The, yeah, they tried, some time back, they tried lowering the one on Gallego to 20. And we had more complaints of that than, and so a few months later, it was brought back up to 30.
And there's already quite a bit of, 3, 4, 5 blocks?
From Second
Yeah,
to
and-
7th.
And it's 20 and people still don't follow that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it matters whether we lower it, it's just still there.
Yeah, the reason, and again, that reason for that was to 20 was because when it was the daycare facility. Daycare facility and then the Calvary Church.
They get us back on track.
Yep.
So I think the follow-up for this item is we'll have an action item to install a stop sign
Super.
and then monitor from them.
Great, thank you.
Sounds great. April 2nd will be the action item.
Yes.
All right, moving on to information and discussion item number 4. This one should be quick, I believe, think. So discussion regarding the continued work on the city charter, a reminder of what steps need to be taken to get this done. All right, so we were looking at trying to have it for the November 4th election. November, I don't know if it's the 4th, November 2024 election. So I just wanted to remind council that the city charter was originally written in 1993, amended in 95, amended again in 2005. So we're coming up on 20 years old. And there's some things in here that really need to be changed. This is the foundation of our city. For example, we've already run into some questions about procedures to fill vacant seats. Okay, so page 10 says that council appoints a successor. We weren't clear on how does council do that? Do we need to have some guidelines in there? So this issue has already come up a couple of times. So how do we pick the successor? We really need to have something in there for that. And then also there's just some unclear and poorly written language, some things that are no longer legal as far as annexation. We were discussing, and I believe that we all sent information to Megan. She had questioned us. Y'all remember that email? And we sent comments back to her. So we have started the process. And then Megan was talking about the steps that would need to be taken in order to get this for the November election, which is coming up. And there were some things that were different from what we originally thought. And I was wondering if you could go back over that with us, what we would need to do.
As far as
Task force, I remember something about
you don't
having,
have to
yeah,
have a commission.
okay. So,
Council would just have to put the propositions, so you have a proposition for every change you want to make. And then you would follow a basic ballot process. But we have to call it by August 19th, is it? Call it
Good.
by then, but then you have to have
Like
all
to
those
look at that.
propositions and everything ready as well. And so
Okay.
for every change you make within the charter, it has to have its own proposition. And then, of course, you want that it's for and against. It's not a multiple choice. It's
Right.
either for, so the wording, you want
Yeah.
to make sure it's not confusing. And that would have to be presented to the public as well, because they would be voting on it.
Right, in November. And the reason that was a good one is because that's the presidential election. So we would have a lot of residents going out to vote already.
Well, it has to
So-
be a general
Right.
election. So,
But this year is presidential.
yes. One, it's the mayor as well. So if we try to do it for May, it just can't be during when we have specific awards. It
Right.
has to be during where it's open up to the whole. entire-
Doing the whole charter, do you really think that that can be done?
But do we have to do the whole charter?
No, you only do propositions for what you want to change.
Every change has to have a separate, so if you do 10 changes, it's 10 votes.
So it's okay to do half of it or whatever and then just.
Just whatever you want to change.
Yep.
So it's really been mixed review from you guys, to be honest. Judy just saw, grammar errors that she thought needs to be cleaned up. I know the two of you, Chris and Catherine, you looked at some of the city manager position, city secretary position, and how that's worded. For me, it's been, of course, removing the things that don't need to be there, like the annexation is not
Right.
legal anymore, but also adding that the council would appoint a commission and review the charter every 2
So
years, or
often.
however many years.
And then we also talked about terms for the council members, because it's really hard to accomplish anything in 2 years. And so I think that's why the city has sometimes in the past had trouble getting things moving and continuing until it's done, because council can change over so quickly. Like, we're gonna have a whole new council here in a couple of meetings. So we had also looked at that. And
Yeah.
compensation, as Judy mentioned, nobody's gonna wanna serve 3 years for $100 a month, or 4 years for $100 a month.
But then where are you gonna get the money from?
I don't know, Rick's done 20 years for none.
Well,
I know 20.
I don't know. I feel like that also limits the pool of individuals who can apply, because you have to pretty much either have a full-time job or have enough to live on to where that's not a factor. So how many people are we limiting from wanting to be on council?
That's something to take into consideration. That's one of the main reasons that I decided I am not putting the time that I need to, because I'm not able to be at the workshops because I need to work and I have a full-time job. That leaves a lot of people out that have to work and can't do the job that they need to be doing for council.
And is that a charter decision?
Yes, it's in the charter, the terms.
No, not
The charter's
terms,
not
how
the
much,
pay.
how much is paid. That's
Yeah,
not a
I think
charter
it's in
issue.
the charter too.
No, it
It's
just,
not.
No, not in the
Not-
charter.
It's not a charter issue, so that can be changed without a charter.
Right.
well,
It just.
it can be changed.
But it won't
based
take
on-
into effect.
No, based on the regulations set out in the charter.
Yeah, so it could be added.
Just follow the charter.
Mhm.
Bottom line, you're trying to get to, we're gonna do something, we gotta do it now.
Yes. So what do we need to do to get this ball going for
I also
November?
want you to
In the
understand,
workshop.
this is a
In the
low
workshop.
priority on the priority.
But should it be a low priority on the priority
That is
list? That's
y'all's
why I was bringing it
discussion.
up.
That's y'all's discussion,
know.
that, you guys rated and ranked them, not me.
Yep.
But I don't,
Presented you
I
everything
can't
that
even
I've been
remember
working
that
on.
dang thing.
I know, and I know I didn't rank this one low because I feel like it's important. It's been 20 years. It's the foundation of the city. And these are things that we really need to seriously think about and consider, especially the terms. If we have all these things we're trying to get done for the city, should the terms be 2 years?
It is important and I agree with that, but also, I also see what we've put on the city as a whole, as with the sewer department, with the streets, with all that. Look at all the workshops that you all are attending now, because I'm not at the workshops. You all are here sometimes 2-3 times a week.
No,
It seems
No,
like
I wouldn't say
this
2 or
week
3
you're gonna- This week, you're gonna have what, 3?
2, just
Last
2. But last week we had 9. It's really,
That's because you canceled last week.
we did. What was last week's? What was last week's?
It's supposed to be the STR. but y'all couldn't make it, so we moved it to.
You get Penny's haircut.
Yeah, that wasn't even
It's important.
on the list for last week, STR.
No, because you guys,
We didn't want to go with that date that you had projected. But anyway, so what can we do to expedite that then? Councilmember Stevens?
My view is one of us needs to sit down because Megan doesn't have time
Right,
and write what the changes are and bring it forward to council for a discussion.
I'll do it.
You do that, I think then we can move forward.
Okay. Okay, so would you put it on for the next council as a discussion item? I guess that's what we would need. All right, thank you. Okay, anything else on that? All right, let's move forward. Discussion item number 5, city manager.
Trying to squeeze in to get this chapter 23 finished. It's being added back as another information and discussion item to go through the next section. So Gio has provided some of the backup information regarding it. And what we're gonna look at today is we're into the agenda. So we're on 23-10 rules for attendance at regular meeting at city council. So I'd like to go through the rules of attendance and the voting to see if there's any changes or discussion for those 2 sections. After that, the workshop for tomorrow would cover the last section, which would be the rules of decorum. And then we would have officially addressed every section, so that we could go in and make any necessary changes, updates, and then present a first draft.
Okay, so you're wanting us to do that right now, look at 2310, 2311, and 23.
That's it, just those
Okay.
2 sections.
Okay,
So do you want me to read each line item?
no, we can read
No.
it. However, I don't know, for our audience members, we may need you to do that. And for those on Zoom, because
Okay.
they don't have this in front of them.
So for the first section of rules for attendance at regular meetings of the city council, I'm gonna read each section, and then if you guys just wanna like jump out there and say no change, or hey, I wanna change something, we'll make notes and then we'll go to the next one.
Okay.
First one, section 3.02B of the city charter provides that a member of city council shall forfeit his or her office if absent from 3 consecutive regular council meetings without being excused by council.
No change.
No change.
Nance?
Do we all have to say it?
Yes.
No
So
change.
you can be our voice.
Well, you might not agree with me.
Well, you technically can't change it because it's set by charter.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
It's a charter amendment.
A
Yeah.
member of city council who will not be able to attend a regular council meeting shall make a reasonable effort to notify the mayor, the city manager's office, or the city secretary's office prior to the meeting and shall indicate the reason for his or her inability to attend.
No change, no
No
change,
change.
no change.
Section 3.05B of the city charter provides that if any member of the council is absent from a regularly scheduled meeting of the council without being excused by the council, the member shall forfeit 50% of his or her monthly compensation for each such absence, not to exceed 100% in any 1 month. If a member is excused from a regularly scheduled meeting, the reason for the absence shall be reported by the mayor or acting mayor at the meeting at which the absence occurs or at the following regular scheduled meeting and recorded in the minutes.
No change.
Change.
Absences shall be considered excused if for personal illness, family illness, emergencies, funerals, military service, family events, including vacations, weddings, graduations, business obligations, official city business, such as attendance at a conference for municipal officers, or for other good cause as determined by the council. At the next regular meeting following the meeting at which the member was absent, the city council shall consider a vote to determine whether the member's absence is deemed excused or unexcused.
Yeah, good, good.
Absence from a regular meeting shall be considered unexcused if the member fails to convey the reason for his or her absence to the mayor, city manager, or city secretary, or otherwise fails to give sufficient information to the city council to enable it to determine the reason for the absence.
Good, 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 good.
The next section is voting.
Bless you.
Presiding officer may not vote. In accordance with section 3.03 of the city charter, the mayor or the mayor pro tem, while presiding over the council in the absence of the mayor, shall vote only in the case of a tie, except to pass an ordinance when the voting membership of the council is reduced below 5, owing to one or more absences and or vacancies or abstentions. Neither the mayor nor the mayor pro tem shall have the power of veto.
Good.
Before a vote is taken on any item, the mayor or mayor pro tem shall restate the motion to ensure that the matter being considered is clearly understood prior to being voted on by the city council.
Good,
Good.
good, good, good.
When a vote is called, every member present shall vote either aye,
Hey, all in favor, say A.
change that, aye or nay, or shall abstain, in order to ensure clarity without the position of each council member during a vote. The mayor or mayor pro tem shall ask for a positive statement for those in favor of a motion by stating aye or raising of their hand. Those not in favor of the motion by stating nay or raising of their hand. And those who abstain from voting by stating abstain or raising of their hand.
I think it should be just raising of the hand. 'Cause when you do
I prefer roll call,
for everything that we vote on,
action items.
for action items, you want a roll call for everything?
I think it makes it clear, especially in certain circumstances where it's been hard to determine who's voted which direction.
It would also get rid of the requirement of silence constitutes an affirmative. vote,
Yes,
I vote against that.
Because the whole reason again that was put in there is because there's been times where I've had to do the minutes and somebody, the presiding officer didn't call for the nose, or it was unclear if somebody abstained, like a roll call vote would.
that would make your job better
Yes.
and make
or
us better.
Providing a mechanism that silence constitutes a negative.
Yeah,
vote.
let's get rid of
Some
that.
kind of mechanism for us to have a definitive way to know how somebody voted.
Yeah,
It
I would
doesn't
either,
take that long to do it.
I'd prefer either the roll call or the hand.
So
No.
roll call.
I would
Roll call.
prefer roll call.
Okay,
It
roll
would
call's
be
fine.
clear to everybody too, especially the audience.
Stevens? Roll call.
I'm okay with it. I'm happy with the hand, but I can go with roll call.
Okay, Rodriguez?
Only on
Roll
a.
call, That's what they want for their roll call.
It'd be
Okay,
great
roll
for-
call.
It'd be great for minutes.
A.
A.
Sorry.
All right, so yeah, so change C then to just roll call. No,
And
no
that
A
will-
or I.
that will remove D.
Yeah, remove D. The silence. For
On the
those of you-
request of the city manager, city secretary, or city council member, a roll call vote shall be taken.
That'll be, it will move that too. No, we did.
In all matters before the council, including a vote to hire or to terminate a city manager, the mayor may only vote as outlined in subsection A of this section. The term full city council means that 5 city council members who may vote. Any matter requiring a majority vote of all full city council means such matter requires a vote of 3 members of the council in favor of said matter. 3, no supermajority or 4 votes out of the 5 of the city council permitted to vote in favor of hiring or terminating city manager is allowed by the charter nor is required.
Everybody good?
So it's just a majority.
Yeah.
And that's to hire or to hire or fire.
All matters too, isn't it?
Most matter.
Most matters.
And that is it for that item.
We're good with it? All right, good deal.
And look, we reduced.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that was discussion item number 5. Before we move into the action items, I'm gonna call a 5-minute break.
And the election date is
November Ready. Okay, and we're back in session. Moving on to action items. First action item belongs to city manager.
Action item 1, approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-03-01. An ordinance amending chapter 70, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, article 2, minors to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, repealing division 2, curfew, repealing the juvenile curfew within the city limits of Alpine to better align with the state law, providing findings of fact, repealer, severability, effective date, proper notice, and hearing clauses.
I'll move to approve as read and presented.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, all members voted in favor to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-03-01. Moving on to action item number 2, city manager.
Action item number 2, approve resolution 2024-03-10. A resolution authorizing intervention in AEP Texas Inc.'s requested rate change proceedings before the commission, approving cooperation with the city served by AEP, hiring Lloyd Gosling attorneys and consulting services to negotiate with the company, and directing any necessary litigation and appeals, requiring reimbursement of city's rate case expenses, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of this resolution to the company and legal counsel.
I need a motion.
Move that we approve resolution 2024-03-10.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, discussion, city manager.
So this will be the second resolution that has been brought before council, hiring Lloyd Gosling to represent the city of Alpine and other cities as well. AEP has gone before the Public Utility Commission. They are allowed to every so often to request a rate increase and what they charge basically the customers. Included in the backup material is a background that was provided by Lloyd and Gosling to give you guys a breakdown of what is going on. They're asking to increase roughly about $4.59 per month, an estimated increase of 9.29%. They have filed with the Public Utility Commission. Included in your packet is the actual petition that was submitted to them. There is no cost for the city to join with Gosling. They will represent us as well as several other cities. This does not tie back to our franchise agreement, which is still pending. This is separate. That is a whole different topic or item of discussion. All the information's here. I don't know if you have any questions specifically relating to this. They basically will fight to lower the increase for us.
For our residents and
It's
for
not
us.
just our residents, yes, it's for us too.
Too. Yeah, I know, it's for all of us. It's just like we all pay taxes and everything. All right,
And
council members.
I just want to point out real fast, so we don't have original jurisdiction on this anymore. Only a handful of cities actually have original jurisdiction to determine their rates. We are no longer one of them.
Why is that?
Multiple years ago, the city opted to relinquish that authority. You can try to gain it back. From what I've been able to find, it is not easy to do. You would have to file a petition to gain original jurisdiction to set your electric rate within your community. The closest one that has that ability that we are aware of is Marfa. I don't know how well they utilize it, but we do not have that authority. Small cities mostly gave it up.
Did they get something in return for doing that?
Don't have to take care of it. One less thing to worry about.
Okay, Councilmember Stokes?
Sounds correct to me.
Okay. Councilmember Rodriguez? Councilmember Nance? Councilmember Sedate? Councilmember Stevens?
Hey.
Okay. All in favor of approving resolution 2024-03-10, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, it's unanimous. All council members voted in favor of 2024-03-10. Moving on to action item number 3, City Secretary.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 3 is approve order 2024-03-03, in order appointing and setting the rate of pay for election officials, setting the number of election workers, and designating the early voting ballot board for the May 4th, 2024 general and special elections.
I need a motion.
Move we approve order 2024-03-03 as presented.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? City Secretary?
Do you all have any questions?
No questions, no discussion. Let's move to the vote. Everybody in favor of approving order 2024-03-03, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, all council members voted in favor of 2024-03-02. Action item number 4, City Secretary.
Item 4 is approve order 2024-03-04, in order approving the agreement between City of Alpine and Brewster County Election Administrator for election equipment and services for the May 4th, 2024 general and special election.
I need a motion.
We approve order 2024-03-04 as written and presented.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, City Secretary.
The Commissioners Court recently approved this agreement, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. for you.
Councilmember Stokes. Rodriguez, Nance, Sandate, Stevens. Okay, seeing no questions, no discussion. Let's move to a vote to approve order 2024-03-04. All in favor, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, it passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to action item number 5, City Manager.
Action item number 5 is to approve the bid proposals from Aragon for CRS2 asphalt and MS2 asphalt and Jarrett Dirt Work Services for grade 4 topping rock, grade 4 gravel, base material, and type D hot mix cold lake premix asphalt in response to request for proposal 2024-02-01 road material.
I need a motion.
I move we approve proposals from Aragon and from Jarrett Dirt Works Services for the proposal 2024-02-01 as presented.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, City Manager.
Every year, the city of Alpine presents a request for proposal to get information from vendors in order to meet our road material quantities. We are required by state law for any vendor that we exceed 50,000, which we always do. The RFP did go out in February. It was submitted for the required amount of time. It was published in the Alpine Avalanche. It was also available on our city website, as well as vendors were notified specifically if they'd like to participate. The city of Alpine received 3 bids, one from Aragon, Capital Aggregates, and Jarrett Dirt Work. All 3 proposals were opened and evaluated in accordance with our request for proposal outline. All 3 of them met the minimum requirements. You'll notice within the packet, you have a copy of the RFP and each of the bids that were received, as well as a summary sheet. The summary indicates what each of the vendors proposed and material that they were bidding on. Not all of them bid on the same things. Aragon is the only one who bid on the MS2 and CRS material, which is why we would like to award them the bid. It was a conversation between Capital Aggregates and Jarrett Dirt Work. Jarrett Dirt Work comes just under Capital Aggregates. We did ask that they include the cost of delivery within the bid. Capital Aggregates is a fluctuating, it's a base plus an additional fuel charge depending on how much we order at a time. We do not order all the materials at once, so that rate does fluctuate. Jarrett did bid flat amount to include delivery, so he comes under Capital Aggregates. So that's why we're requesting to award the remaining material to Jarrett Dirt Work.
Okay, any discussion? Councilman Rodriguez, Sandate, yes.
I have one question. Is there any difference in quality? Is quality even a thing when you're looking at aggregate?
So we look at customer service and relationship with the city of Alpine. Eddie is not here, but he is aware. Rock is a rock to me. Don't let him say that. Martine, close your ears.
That's like
Like a nose round.
So we looked at the fact, so this is the first time Jarrett's come back with bidding on all of the other different materials, but he has 50+ years of experience, not only from his father's side, but himself personally. And he has provided material to the city in the past. He's also done a lot of our rebuild paving. So we looked at our history with Jarrett. We looked at our history with capital aggregates, and then we ultimately look at the cost. So Jarrett, we do have a history with him. He has been reliable. He is responsive. So we decided to give him the opportunity because he did slightly come below capital aggregates.
I'd also like to note that on Mr. Jarrett, when something is wrong, he does come back and fix it on his time, you know, if something goes wrong with whatever he laid or.
Okay, Councilmember Stevens?
I just have a question. What do we use grade 4 gravel for? I understand Top Rock, we got 1,200 tons, but it's only 5 tons of gravel.
My understanding,
Remember,
Sorry,
rock is a rock.
rock is a rock, Martine, come on, tell me. Because we're gonna do more seal coating, they're gonna mix the gravel with the larger grade 4 rock to fill in the little crevices and cracks, so when they seal coat, it seals it more.
So 5 tons of rock is not
Don't
even,
ask me, 'cause
it is not even half a dump truck full. That's why I'm asking the question.
I think we actually have some still in our yard.
Okay.
They're
5
just
tons is
gonna
not-
sub what we have.
Okay.
This is what was provided to me and requested, so.
I'm just curious.
It's okay, I asked the same question. 5 tons, that's
5
nothing.
tons, that's not, I'm getting 10 tons of material delivered to the baseball kids for Little League tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, that's a dump truck full.
And you may have me come back saying we need another 5 tons.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
All right, Martine, did you have your hand up?
Can we use pre-coated rock in the grade 4?
So we do reuse pre-coated rock, especially when they mill up roads. We utilize that in our hot patch machine. So basically we take that and make it into a hot mix so that we can pave and patch. So yes, we do.
That's right, that would be pretty good, yeah.
Councilmember Stokes?
Oh, I'm good. The rock is a rock.
That's gonna be the quote in the paper, right?
Yeah, it should be, that should be the headline.
The headline.
Yeah, it should be the headline. I like that. All right, any other discussion? Okay, let's vote to approve bid proposals from Ergon for CRS2 asphalt and MS2 asphalt and Jarrett Dirt Work services for grade 4 topping rock. All in favor, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, it was unanimous. All city council members voted in favor. All right, council member comments.
I don't have any comments.
Hmm,
Can you believe that?
no.
I mean, I can find some.
Okay, no worries.
Right.
Okay,
No good.
Councilmember Stevens?
I think we had some great discussions.
Oh, we did.
And I would like to comment about that. We don't always agree, that's okay, but the dialogue goes back and forth and we all learn something out. So I think it's great.
Yeah, that's the way council should work. We shouldn't always agree. We should have these discussions. And then all I want to say is remember tomorrow, 3 p.m. we have chapter 23 review. And I don't know, we don't have a lot left, do we?
Just the rules of decor.
Okay. That should take us 30 minutes, hour,
There's 3 pages.
3
I
pages.
said it's all on your discussion.
Okay,
And
well,
2 of us will not be here. I got tonight.
I won't be here.
could you zoom in or?
Chairing a board meeting.
Oh, that'd be a little hard.
It'll hard, yeah.
We're only gonna have 2. My team's
So-
not gonna be here either.
So it'll just be me and
Hanging out
Councilmember
with
Nance.
us.
Oh, she has your notes already. You've already given her your information.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Okay.
It's kind of nap time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that ends councilmember comments. So this brings us to item number 11, executive session. Pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the city council reserves the right to convene into executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during this meeting for any posted agenda item or to receive advice from the attorney as permitted by law. Tonight, the city council will recess into executive session pursuant to section 551.071 consultation with attorney. May I get a motion to recess into executive session?
Executive session.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion to recess into executive session pass it, I need a vote, sorry. All in favor, please raise your right hand. City Secretary, all council members voted unanimously to move into executive session, so we are moving into executive session at 7:28 PM. Okay, thank you guys
No,
for
but
attending.
you can't make mistakes.
Oh.
A and a rock, you know, it'll never go away.
Rock is a rock.
A rock is a rock.
Hey.
Hey.
Session with Ellen. Okay, may I have a motion to close executive session,
Close executive session.
then reconvene into open session?
So moved.
Okay, I need a second to close executive and reconvene into open.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor to close executive, reconvene into open, raise your right hand. City Secretary, it passes unanimously. We are reconvening into open session at 7:34 PM. All right,
I move we take no action for executive session.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All in favor to take no action, please raise your right hand. Okay, City Secretary, that passed unanimously for no action from executive session. And with that, we are adjourned.
Hey.
Hey.